Grandpa Poe has traveled all over the world. I may have been in your country. Our first location is in the state of Pennsylvania. I want to show you something that came from Western Pennsylvania. Isn't this an interesting picture? This is a picture of 3 young men. And this one is actually Grandpa Poe when he was about 7. The next one, he is about 6. And then the littlest one is about 4. And these are little suits that parents would buy for their children that they could dress up in. This picture here was actually taken in Pennsylvania in the United States, and it was during the Second World War. And these are the kind of uniforms that the military would wear. Do you have a uniform that you like to wear maybe, or a dress-up suit that you like to wear? Well, the one on the end here is an Air Force uniform. The next one is a Marine uniform, and the third one is a sailor's uniform. I want to show you this. Look at this. This is a uniform that a Royal Mounted Policeman would wear in the state of Canada. Do you live in Canada? Well, you would recognize this if you lived in Canada, because all of the Royal Mounted Policemen wore red jackets, just like this. Now, the next item I would like to show you is this picture here. You remember Grandpa Poe just showed you this picture. This is of young men when they were 5, 6, 7, even 4. This is a picture of young men when they were 18, 19, 20 years old. This was a picture of the Second World War. This is a picture of the Korean War. These are 6 boys. 3 of these boys are pictured here. All 6 of these boys served in the U.S. military from the Korean War on. Now, do you think you might be able to find Grandpa in this picture? Well, he's right here. See him right there? He's wearing glasses. Grandpa Poe, he wears glasses today too. Are you by any chance in the military? They were all 6 honorably discharged from the military when their service was over. Now, when Grandpa was in the military, he was a medic. That's what I was. First of all, I had to go through basic training. When I was inducted into the military, and everyone in the military had to wear what was called dog tags. This was your identification, that if anything happened to you, this was your identification. Your name and your serial number, and really what church you went to. Also, everyone had to wear an identification, and this was Grandpa's. It says, Corporal Poe, and it says where I worked, hospital. When Grandpa Poe was in the military, I was in Texas, which is in the United States. Do any of you live in Texas? Well, Texas is a big state, and it has a lot of military bases in it. One of those military bases was called Fort Sam Houston. And at that particular base was a great big immense hospital called Brooke Army Medical Center. Have you ever been there? It's just outside of San Antonio in the state of Texas. Now, here is Grandpa Poe. One day they decided they would do an article. This was a local newspaper for the hospital, and they decided they would do a picture. Maybe they thought Grandpa Poe was a handsome young fella. Maybe they did. Maybe so. Anyway, this is Grandpa Poe as a young man at about age 22 at Brooke Army Medical Center. And Grandpa Poe has kept this all these years. Grandpa Poe needs a little sip of something to drink. And here it is right here. Grandpa Poe has many children and grandchildren that live in Mexico. This is a picture of Grandpa Poe in Acapulco, and Grandpa Poe traveled there. This is a place that looked out over the ocean, over the Pacific Ocean. It had a great big porch on it, and Grandpa Poe had his picture taken there. Isn't that interesting? especially if you live in Mexico. Grandpa Poe enjoyed his trip and his travels in Mexico. I'd like to show you something else. Look at these things. Look at these. Aren't they interesting? Do you recognize what these might be? Do you recognize them? Do you recognize them? They're keys. Like if you were going to open a door and you would put this into the hole in the door to unlock the door. That's what these are. But they are so big, aren't they? They're really big. Do you know what these were used for? These were for a very old church in Mexico. And these were the keys for all of the doors in that church. And a priest gave these to Grandpa Poe as a souvenir because they weren't used anymore. They weren't used anymore. And Grandpa Poe had done a service for the church. So they gave me these. Wasn't that nice of them? Now, later on, Grandpa Poe came home from his travels in Mexico, and he decided he would go to school. I know that many of you are in school, and this was a university in the United States, in the state of Pennsylvania, called Penn State. Do many of you go to school? Maybe grade school? Maybe middle school? Maybe high school? Maybe even university? Yes, maybe even university. And from time to time, people would take your picture. And here is Grandpa's picture in his university dormitory room. See this right here? It's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard to see. It's right here. This is not a knife. This is a letter opener for opening great big letters. It is very nicely made, but it's only for opening letters. Now, when Grandpa Poe finished university and went to work, he also got married. And he had a car, and this is the little car that he had. And he also had 2 children. There's someone in this picture that connects us all together. All together. Who do you think it is? And which one do you think it is? It's this right here. This is Daughter Poe. She connects us all together. And she's here with us today. Here she is. Daughter Poe, isn't she pretty? She grew up to be a very pretty girl and very talented. And she was able to bring us together.
We love you.
We love you. my children and grandchildren, did we have fun today? Didn't we have fun? Did you find Grandpa's stories interesting? If I didn't mention your country today, please don't worry and don't feel bad. You stay tuned in, because if you didn't hear your country mentioned before or your place mentioned before, it may come in the future, because there's going to be more of these. Won't that be fun?